Nigeria?
It's 6.
Nigeria Info.
On the news this evening, residents of Elibrada in Emoa River State Fleet Community as cold clash leaves 2 persons dead. Chairman Emoa Local Government Area Chidi Lloyd reacts to claims by illegal oil bunkering suspect Gift Ajuru. Torrential rain in Port Harcourt disrupts business activities in parts of the city. President Muhammadu Buhari hails progress of the Nigerian army. On the foreign scene, Palestinians describe remarks on Israel by head of EU as inappropriate. I am Kala Dakuru Batubor. Remember, peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. Good evening. Some residents of Elibrada community in Emoa local government area of River State have reportedly fled their community after a cold clash left 2 persons dead. Our correspondent gathered that the clash was between 2 cold groups. It was also gathered that members of one of the groups entered the community in the early hours of today in search of the leaders of the other cold group. The MOR Vigilante Service MOVs say they have restored peace to the community. The acting commander of MOVs, Chi Agi, also denied the allegation that his men killed one Charles Amadi. The River State Police Command is yet to speak on this. Meanwhile, the chairman of MOA local government area, Chidi Lloyd, says Gift Ajuru is not a personnel of any security agency to be contracted for security matters in the area. Dr. Lloyd tells correspondent Emeka Otukar that it was unimaginable for Mr. Ajuru to allege that he was being prosecuted for his refusal to arrest the notorious cultist that was terrorizing the MOA section of the East-West Road. He reiterated that Mr. Gift Ajuru is responsible for the illegal oil bunkering activities and other criminal activities in the Indele community.
I challenge Gift Ajuru to a face-to-face debate where I gave him such assignment. Is he the police? Is neither the police nor the army. So where did I meet him to give him assignment to go and attack somebody? Considering the exigency of the moment then, the community came together and made head us back. Now he has become an outlaw in the community and the Rundele people are condoning him.
Dr. Lloyd also reiterated that his administration will ensure the arrest of Mr. Gift Ajuru.
All I know is that Gift Ajuru, I will stop at nothing to make him answer for the crime. This is a man who goes about killing his people willfully. If he is wrong, let him come out. I need him to come out. It's a matter of time. Gift will answer to all the crimes that he has committed against his people in accordance with laid down laws. So we will not be distracted. No, there is no amount of blackmail. And he's doing this in conjunction with some persons in the community. At the appropriate time, we will name and shame the elders, those who say they are traditional rulers of that community that are working with him. I will name them. I don't lack the guts to name and shame them.
Speaking on the situation in the Indele community after the crisis between the army and Mr. Gift Ajuru, Dr. Lloyd said normalcy can only return to the community when Mr. Ajuru has been arrested. He called on the army to ensure the arrest of Mr. Ajuru.
Let no one say that normalcy has returned. Normalcy can only return when that boy, Gift Ajuru, has been brought to book by the military. I challenge the army, and I know the Nigerian army. I know their capability, that a few disgruntled ones among them cannot paint them in bad light. The Nigerian army has the capacity to deal with the external aggression. What happened to Gift Ajuru? Say for me, normalcy has not returned. Normalcy can only return when those criminals have been flushed out. And I will stop at nothing at ensuring that.
On the issue of the burning of the home of a widow, Uche Ajuru, by a member of the disbanded OSPAC, Owuchika Egbo, in Indele community, Dr. Chidi Lloyd said he is not aware of the matter. There was confusion on Agri Road in Port Harcourt City as the rainfall this morning destroyed some public properties, including an electricity pole in front of a commercial bank. An eyewitness said the situation also affected some buildings in the area. Also, commuters along Odili Road axis of Port Harcourt were stranded due to the rain as commercial buses and tricycles were unable to come out for business. Our correspondent reports that many commuters were forced to seek shelter at a gas station along Odili Road due to the high water levels. The rain also caused flooding in the area. Some residents of the area spoke to our correspondent.
Immediately I saw the rain, I knew that I would not be going to school today. On several occasions, I've almost fallen into canal or a gutter or something because we can't even see the road.
If you are not careful, you cross, you might end up entering into those manholes, and the next thing, your body will be found maybe in Itawaba Creek or somewhere.
I've not been able to go for my daily activities because little rain just leads to big flood. Most of the areas there were just filled without doing proper drainage system for them. So whenever it rains like this, the road, all the inside, everything comes to the major road. I'm going to blame the government because if you check along that LNG road, they used to have like a river. If they're only for us to notice that the government already start filling. That is what they do here.
Recall that Zonal Coordinator, National Emergency Management Agency, Godwin Tepiko, during an interview with our correspondent, listed Port Harcourt City local government area among the 15 local government areas in River State at the risk of high flooding this year. Meanwhile, some stakeholders and community leaders in River State have been speaking on the poor response of the government to the prediction that the 2023 rainfall that might cause severe flooding in the state. An environmental advocate, B.A. Briggs, while speaking on the issues, expressed concerns that despite the prediction, no state governments in the Niger Delta region made provisions for emergency cases in their budget for the 2023 fiscal year.
If you look at the budgets in the Niger Delta that have been so passed, there has never been any provision for flood victims or flooding or any mitigation plan whatsoever. Talk less about rehabilitation. The rehabilitation is the last part of the management of a flooding disaster. You prepare, you respond, and then you rehabilitate. Prevention is zero. Response will also be zero. What we saw, the floods had been almost 3 weeks on before government started attempting to respond by releasing funds in the middle of a disaster. It's not supposed to be so.
Dr. Briggs said to reduce the effect of the flooding, community leaders must educate their people on the need to respect the environment.
You expect community members to begin to mobilize themselves and move to higher grounds with respect to reducing loss of lives and all the attendant issues that will come with the flooding. But that's not being done right now by communities. And one would have expected that especially vulnerable group, women, children, the elderly, would have been moved to higher grounds. And by now, government should have also put in place IDP camps, well set up, in anticipation of the floods and moving people that are vulnerable to higher grounds before the flood comes. And then, but I don't see them doing that right now.
Correspondent Sebio Ruwari reports that a professor of development sociology, Professor Sofiri Joab Peterside, expressed concern that flood-prone communities have also not shown any preparedness to avoid the effects of the flooding.
The time to act is now, to take proactive and preventive measures to protect our people in anticipation of the doom that is predicted from the expert agency. On the recent flood predictions, we call on the government to engage environmental experts to open up our canals while also providing other local drainage outlets to allow free flow of water. It's also necessary to urgently identify and construct special befitting relocation centers, if need be, in the local government areas in anticipation of the 2023 predicted to happen between April and November this year.
I think that the rain has started and the people of Orashi, they've been suffering because of the flood. Our people are suffering, not just suffering, we die. So many of our people die. So the government will start from now. As far as the sun is from May 29th, start preparing for the flood to come. We don't need to start preparing a permanent place. As the rain comes, because it's a natural disaster, we can run to that highland and stay.
On their part, some community leaders in the Rashi region of River State called on government agencies to start preparing IDP camps and measures to mitigate the effects of the flooding.
Unless those of us who come from the Atlantic Ocean area who knows the consequences. Now, even though we have our own indigenous method, but some of those floods, just disorganizes those. So, but I also think that people don't wait. We shouldn't wait. That's why I told him we need to create awareness of people to know that this can happen. Because if something happened last year, you know what time. So you begin to plan in advance to, curtail it. But I must confess to you that I'm sure we're still not ready. Most communities.
Moving on. Following complaints by some road users about the continued hike in the cost of transportation in Port Harcourt despite reduction in price of petrol, Deputy Chairman of Mile 3 Motor Park, Glory Inokam, has justified the cost. Speaking with our correspondent, Mr. Inokam said drivers as members of the society are also affected by the increase in prices of commodities in the markets.
They can increase fare because of the prices of motor pass, the increase in fuel. The drivers too, they buy also in the market. They have families, so they can increase to meet up their demand. If somebody selling gari did not come down, how can they come down? Somebody is selling motor pass. If they didn't come down, they can't come. So if we want to get this thing right, everybody should come down. And they should not feel so bad because as they are suffering, that's how the drivers are also suffering. We didn't increase. The union ticket, the state government, the board of internal ticket, I think if you add them, it's about 400.
Also, the Vice Chairman of the National Union of Road Transport Workers in Mile 1 Park, Obi Amadi, says cost of maintaining vehicles have also risen.
Maintaining of car now and high rise of fuel. All of us know we are all Nigerians. At times we will go to the line and stay more than 2, 3, 4 hours. We are losing now. We are not comparing it that I want to help people and they let us find what to eat. Not that we are benefiting from the system. I think the normal price now is okay for now because we didn't go more high.
Addressing the complaint about the high cost of tickets inside Rumokoro Park, Secretary of National Union of Road Transport Workers in the park, A. James Aliko, insists that vehicles that load in the park collect cheaper fares.
Now that the fuel price has come down, the transport fare too is also not high again. Like before, over the line, they charged 4,000 before, but now it's 3,000. They're going to worry, the same thing. Worry now is about 4,000 or 5,000 thereabout. Acquire online, the same thing. It has come down. Where it was 6,000, now it's 4,000. Before the increase, Bayelsa was 1,005. But now it's still 2,000. Increase of the fuel is the cost of the increase in the transport fares. People should come into the park to enter and pay less. There's no issue of multiple tickets. The ticket they have is only 3 tickets. One is a park maintenance. The other one is National Union ticket, and then the state. The 3 is less than 500.
The president of Ogoni Liberation Initiative, Douglas Fabeke, is alleging that one of the projects, the Center of Excellence, scheduled for flag-off by President Muhammadu Buhari in Port Harcourt tomorrow, has been flagged up before now. Mr. Fabeke, who made the allegation while speaking on Nigerian Info's Morning Crossfire, said a former Minister of Environment had flagged up the project. He said the failure of the government to monitor and assess its projects in Ogoni has given rise to corruption in the system.
The Center of Excellence have been inaugurated before. The former environmental minister, there was a time I went there and I took a photograph of what that place at the bush and the signpost, and I attached it with a letter and I wrote it to the honorable minister, put it in our report. It's even a forensic report. It had been inaugurated before, and I thought that money had been awarded. If you look at the list of projects, the list that I was calling here up to 7 in category, some of these projects, money have been awarded to them twice. In project management, there's something we call evaluation. There's something we call assessment. If you awarded a contract, you approve money for a project, can you set up a committee to go and verify if that project was done accordingly?
As you may know, President Muhammadu Buhari is expected in Rivers State tomorrow to, among other things, flag off the construction of Center of Excellence and a 100-bed specialist hospital in Ogoniland. President Muhammadu Buhari says the fighting power of the Nigerian army has progressively increased since his administration began in 2015, making it one of the strongest in Africa today. Buhari said this at the Nigerian Army parade of trooping and presentation of colors at Eagle Square, Abuja. As you may know, recent data from Global Firepower showed that the Egyptian army tops the military ranking in Africa. Algeria is second, South Africa came third, while Nigeria is ranked fourth. Time for a quick commercial break, but still ahead, some Nigerian students in Sudan cry out over process of evacuation. Stay tuned.
You are tuned in to
Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has expressed joy that the 500-bed hostel for medical students of the Faculty of Basic Medicine, Rivers State University, is almost ready. The governor said this today while inspecting the 500-bed hostel for medical students of the Faculty of Basic Medicine. Some Nigerian students have cried out that they are stranded in Sudan. This comes after a viral video for young women and others lamenting that the buses conveying them stopped because the federal government did not disburse funds. The students also claimed that they stopped in the desert for 5 hours, but the chairperson of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri-Arewa, says the issue has been resolved. Dabiri-Arewa also disclosed that Air Peace will be leaving for Egypt tonight and expected back to the country tomorrow. In business, the National Economic Council has suspended a planned removal of subsidy on petroleum products by the end of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, disclosed this at the end of the NEC meeting. The minister said the NEC concluded that it is not a favorable time for the action. In entertainment, Jerry Springer, best known for hosting his Rockers TV talk shows, has died at the age of 79. The controversial presenter died at his home outside Chicago today after a brief illness. The Jerry Springer show ran for 27 years and was known for its wild crowd and fights between guests. In sports, Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda have launched a joint bid for the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations, which will bring the continental showpiece to East Africa for the first time. The African Football Confederation on Thursday acknowledged having received a declaration of interest from the 3 countries, along with bids from Algeria, Botswana and Egypt.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
Palestinians have described remarks about Israel by the head of the European Commission as inappropriate, false and discriminatory. It follows a congratulatory video message by Ursula von der Leyen on Israel's Independence Day. In it, she praised Israel, including for having made the desert bloom. It has sparked an unusual diplomatic spark between the Palestinian Authority and the EU, its main donor. On the news this evening, you heard residents of Eli Brada in MOR, River State, have fled their community after a court clash left 2 persons dead. The chairman of MOR local government area, Chidi Lloyd, has reacted to the claims by the illegal oil bunkering suspect, Gift Ajuru. Torrential rain in Port Harcourt today disrupted business activities in parts of the city. President Muhammadu Buhari has hailed the progress of the Nigerian army. On the foreign scene, Palestinians have described remarks on Israel by the head of the EU as inappropriate. The news was edited by Oyinkachi Wonsu. Cloudy weather in Port Harcourt this evening. Remember, peace is the path to the prosperity and development of any nation. Let peace reign. I am Kalada Kuru Batubo. Good evening and stay tuned. Ad Facts with Dio continues after the break.